All right, welcome back. The video you just saw was just a teaser of what's to come on the show today. We have a few social media comedians who are going to be joining us much later. But for now, we're going to be talking personal finance. A good number of Nigerians, if you speak with them, find it very, very hard to save. And we also hear from, the financial sector about how many millions, tens of millions of Nigerians, if not hundreds of millions, who are unbanked. So it makes personal finance conversations very, very important for Nigerians to understand. I have you with me, Sola Adesakin. Thanks for being here today.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
So why is saving important? Because we understand why we need to save. But in a place like this where it's almost impossible to, a lot of Nigerians will tell you they live from hand to mouth. The poverty rate here is skyrocketing. Even those who are on paid employment can hardly live on that wage. Is that a possibility even when you're earning so little?
All right, so I always love to say this analogy about savings. Because I tell people there are three things to do to money: make it, manage it, multiply it. So we live in Lagos where sometimes, if you're depending on water supply from the government, sometimes it might be erratic. So whenever there is no water, the stress you go through. So each time the tap starts to run, what do? You put your buckets there. And then when one bucket is full, you start pouring from that bucket into another bucket because you don't know when there's going to be water again. So that is what happens with personal finance. If you do not save for the rainy days, it would always be difficult. And you find out that people would keep going back into the pit hole of debt.
Yeah.
So I know that times are very hard. But you see, I tell people, many people wait for when they earn so much. Or when I earn 100,000, I'll save. So personal finance is about building the muscles. So when you build the muscles, when you're able to save 2,000 when you're earning 20,000, it'll be easy to save 20,000 when you're earning 200,000. So even though the money is not much, you're not earning so much, it is important to put something aside because life happens. There always will be a rainy day. There will always be emergencies. If you're married, your children don't announce to you when they're going to have fever. Your landlord wouldn't be so nice to say, oh, you have lived here for 10 years. Don't bother paying for next year's rent.
Yeah.
So saving is so important. And, the principle of saving is don't eat all your harvest. Because if you eat it, when the next planting cycle comes, you don't have anything to plant. And what that means is that there will be no further harvest.
I hear you there, but when you talked about emergencies, it's very true. But a lot of Nigerians will tell you that living in Nigeria every day now is an emergency. Just painting a scenario. Let's imagine a man or a woman who earns 80,000 naira at their place of work monthly. They live on the mainland, the office is on the island. They're probably married with one or two children, and you factor in transportation every day. You factor in the fact that they have to feed, and the kids are going to school. Maybe one partner is not working. How possible is it for someone like that to say, okay, I'm going to set aside any amount of money at all? And how significant is that saving even going to be? If I'm able to save 1,000 naira every month, at the end of the year, I have 12,000 naira. What does that mean anything for me? So why don't I just try and exist until I can actually save?
So two things. Expenses are sacrosanct. Whether you're making money or not, you must spend. So once we establish that fact, one thing I tell people is look for ways of, making more money, multiple sources of income. Now, that might sound like a cliche, but, except you kind of increase the amount of money that comes to you, you might, keep falling back into debt and, the money is not enough and all of that. So I tell people, look for little things you can add in addition to what you currently do. It is possible. COVID has made us realize that, you can actually juggle so many things. So that's on one side. On the second side, a lot of people don't plan. You must realize what expenses are necessities and what expenses are nice to have. Necessities on a monthly basis are groceries, light, maybe internet, depending on the kind of job you do. So when you list it out, we teach the 50, 30, 20% rule in budgeting. So 50 should go into your necessities. Write them out. So a lot of people, when you talk to them, they're like, I don't even know. How much would it cost your family, to sustain yourselves for a month? They're like, I don't know. And then they don't plan. And then when some, unexpected things happen, you just say, no, I can afford this. and they go for such things. So 50, 30, 20. Have a list of what it would cost to run your family or to maintain your lifestyle or maintain your survival, so to say. So when you list those things out, you know how much you need more to make. You know areas of leakages. A lot of Nigerians, I know things are hard, but we still indulge in some things that we should, be able to pass on. Sometimes we don't practice delayed gratification. I'm sorry, for women, sometimes we all know our excesses. There are some things that you can delay. There are some things that you can buy much later. So when you have an idea of what you need, you necessarily must spend on a monthly basis, then you know, oh, okay, I need to make this more. I need to stop this until I am able to afford it. Yeah. So it works. Planning and budgeting is very key.
Okay, before we go, let's just talk about, what's a good way to save? The savings accounts used to be very, very, very attractive. There are people who have doubts about it now because, first of all, maybe the interest rate is not that great anymore. Also, there's people who have some bank drama. It's like, I want my money back now and I can't get it because of whatever issues. What's a good way for someone who's trying to save? What do they do to save?
Okay, so there are fintech platforms that even offer rates higher than what you would have in your savings account. So fintech platforms, if you do your research, I don't want to mention names, 500, 1,000. Sometimes you can even automate them. So you can say, every month, debit me with 5,000, 10,000. Every week, debit me with 2,000, depending on your income. That's one way, and it works. A lot of people swear by it. I do it as well, So automate your savings using fintech platforms. Traditional thrift contribution, I do that. I've been in a thrift contribution within my investment club that we have been running for 4 years. Some people 50,000, some people 100,000, some people 20,000, merge, come together. Now, the advantages of thrift contribution is that you're able to have bulk sum after a certain period. It has disadvantages because if it is too long, don't forget the time value of money. So I encourage people 6 months, many people, so that, 6 month cycle, everybody gets to collect. Another disadvantage is that you're not earning interest on it. But it's a very, very good way of saving money. Another, conventional way or traditional method is cooperatives. You pull your funds together. The only thing is that you can't easily pull out. But you know that the money is there. Whenever you want to pull out, you can pull out. And there are mutual funds in Nigeria that you can start with a minimum of 5,000 naira. These things are not difficult. Small money, small money, small money. And of course, the traditional piggy bank. By the way, I brought my piggy banks for your children, So teach your children to do that as well. But saving is putting money aside, first of all. Investing is putting money to work. It starts with saving. Learn the habit of putting aside. 1,000, 5,000, 50,000, depending on your budget and what you can set aside, like I said earlier.
What's the biggest myth or misconception of savings before we go?
I'm not making enough.
I'm not making enough.
Yeah, that's what I hear all the time. I'm not making enough. It's not enough. You already said it, but you see, like I said, we encourage people to save between 10 to 20% of their earnings. But if you're earning 30,000 and you can't even remove 3,000 on a monthly basis, when you earn 300,000, you would find it difficult, to put aside 30,000.
I hear that a lot. People say if you can't save when you're earning small, you will never be able to save when you're earning a lot. But there are a lot of people who will tell you, when I didn't have anything, I couldn't save. But now that I'm making money, I'm actually better able to plan. Isn't that true?
Oh, well, it happens. It happens. But more often than not, it's about cultivating the right habits. You see, those who suddenly, so to say, stumble into money, ask them. There's always that point where you come to realize that there's a need to plan my finances. And then you just make up your mind one day. So if you did not learn it when you were earning so small, you learn it when the money comes. But, generally it just helps, to build the muscles and learn to save irrespective of the amount you're earning.
Yeah. So I want to talk about young people now. I know you've talked about fintech and all of that, and a lot of young people, especially when you're just starting off a career, find it hard to understand the savings culture. Especially at a time like this now where there seems to be, we live in a social media world. There's so many attractions that you might want to spend money on, or you think you need, but you don't necessarily need. Is the advice different for young people with regards to how they should sort of channel their finances and be more disciplined, for example?
I love the question. I was speaking somewhere to Gen Z, and I said, you have technology to your advantage. When I was growing up, nobody was telling me about saving, not even my parents. So I literally emulated what I saw. Oh, no money, that's it. No saving, that's it. But these days, see, technology has revolutionized the world of personal finance. So my advice to young people is the principles of financial literacy remain the same. And there are three things. Have the right mindset about money. There's no time to go into that, right? Embrace financial knowledge and then cultivate the right skill set. Saving, investing, budgeting, and all of that. So for young people, I think you have a lot of advantages. There are things you can do. I mean, I was saying it yesterday that a few years ago, I wanted to buy US shares, and because I didn't have a social security number, I couldn't buy it. But these days, right on my phone, I can buy US stocks, I can buy Amazon stocks, I can buy Google stocks, I can buy different stocks. And you know what? As at the last time I checked, an Amazon stock was going for $3,200. But I can buy $50 worth, what you call fractional shares. You can buy $10 worth, $20 worth on a monthly basis. That's what technology has done. We didn't have it back then. Millennials, Gen X, and all of that. But for Gen Z, for younger people, you can buy stocks. There are so many apps that would help you plan and budget. So many apps to help you save. And, so technology, I think, is the game changer for young people. But first of all, have the right mindset about money. Embrace financial literacy, embrace knowledge, and then cultivate this skill set. And don't be under pressure because this person is doing this, that other person is doing this. You think about the future. Overseas, there are a lot of young people who are multi-billionaires. Startup businesses are being, driven by the younger generation. So it's doable. Yeah. Let's leverage technology.
And that was one big theme I think I've gotten from you today is about discipline, So there are people who, let me paint a scenario of someone who doesn't earn a lot of money and is quite disciplined with how they spend. They're probably saving whatever it is they can. They live within their means. Something, business, whatever it is happens and there's a windfall and a huge amount of money comes into, their space or their bank account or whatever it is. Are they allowed to splurge? Is it wrong for them to say, okay, at least let me spoil myself a little? Or is that also now indiscipline on their part with their finance?
So remember I said the 50, 30, 20% rule. 50% for your necessities. 30% for your wants. Nice to have. So that's for splurging. Because, Ebuka, I've realized that many times we work. You just realize you're 40, you're 50, you're 60, you haven't done anything for yourself. See, the system is designed to collect from you. Taxes, vendors, school fees, house rent, and all of that. You must take care of yourself because you are the engine, you are the vehicle. If you break down, there's no money. Mm-hmm. So you must necessarily find means of taking care of yourself. I have a friend every month when she earns her salary, she goes to a restaurant. Every month. She orders good food and then she would say, my soul, you have worked well this month. Eat this food. So it's okay to splurge, but plan for it.
Thank you very much. Hopefully people who need to listen have been listening. I mean, it's also not a very easy thing to navigate, talking about savings. I think people have financial, I don't want to say issues, but need to talk about finance even after retirement. In fact, sometimes most importantly, at retirement even. So thank you very much for your insights. We're going to take a quick break now and be right back.